All right. So this webinar will be recorded. So let me start the recording. All right, and yeah, it looks like we have a pretty big crowd today. So if you want to ask a question, please go ahead and type it into the chat window. We have quite a few people from Microfluidics on the call, so we'd be happy to answer your questions in real time if we can, or else we'll have some time for questions at the end of the meeting. All right, here's the agenda. We have some updates, and then the big topic of discussion today is the Microlycer launch, which was today. So really excited about that. Have some really great content, and yeah, look forward to working with you on how to grow our business by selling Microlycer. So let's get started. All right, so we do have just one quick team update. We recently hired Chris Situ. He is a new technical sales specialist for the aftermarket team, reporting to Laura Morrison. He is a replacement for Craig, who left in the fall, so it's been a few months, but we did change the role a little bit. Craig's role was a customer service representative, like Lewis. Chris's role is technical sales specialist, so he is a bit more technical. I have a slide to talk about him. So yeah, he's going to be more immersed in the technology. He's going to be understand how to read drawings and understand how the equipment works, specify parts more effectively. So hopefully we will be able to provide quotations for some of the more complicated equipment more quickly. He has his mechanical engineering degree from Northeastern University, so we're really excited about that. Another Northeastern grad like Mike and me, so really excited about that. And he was most recently a calculus teacher, so a bit of a change from his previous role, but yeah, he's fitting in so far, learning really quick. He's still only been around for about 2 weeks, so still has a lot to learn, but so far he's doing a great job. All right, next let's talk about results. Ethan, would you mind talking about aftermarket?
Yeah. So we ended the year about 84% of our plan. We did have a strong start to the year, still somewhat riding that COVID wave, but we kind of fell off of that and moved into this economic recession that we ended the year with. And really where we saw that affecting our aftermarket business is if you think about our month-over-month business, typically 60 to 70% of that is kind of that normal wear and tear business, a typical aftermarket entitlement. And then the top 30 to 40% is generally stocking orders, equipment refurbishments, and things like that. And in the back half of the year, what we really saw was customers holding on to their money for anything that was non-necessary. So for those big chamber stocking orders, the Kanbans of parts and things like that, we just saw the customers holding on to their money. And even in December, we did see a large volume of quote requests, but it was all quote requests for orders placed in 2024. So it was a strong start to the year. We did see a little bit of a drop off, but we are starting this year pretty strong. I'm very optimistic about how January looks and then moving forward as well. And still good results kind of considering the end of the COVID wave. And we did finish this year substantially higher we did finish 2023 substantially higher than our pre-COVID 2019 year. Steve's going to show you that in a minute.
Thanks. Yeah, kind of a similar story for machines. Yeah, it's actually a little bit, reverse. We started the year, the first, February to July was really challenging, specifically with production machines. By July, we had only achieved about a third of our target results, which was a little frustrating, but we did have a very good second half of the year, August through December, really strong production machines, highlighted in October when we had our biggest order ever for the pneumococcal vaccine, and really finished the year strong. We still only achieved about 81% of our plan, but still feel like that's a pretty successful result, all things considered. Within IDEX, we have quite a few businesses in the biotechnology space, and everyone kind of saw this year-over-year decline that we did, and in most cases it was more severe than ours. So, great execution on a pretty challenging target, and we'll talk about kind of how that relates relative to the COVID wave. These are our results kind of going back 14 years to 2010. You can kind of see really like where the COVID wave kind of really took us to really extraordinary results from an orders perspective that are not super sustainable. And as the COVID wave died down, we still have like really good results kind of compared to where we were 5, 6, 7 years ago, and we are expecting to have a little bit of year-over-year growth, but we're not really anticipating getting back up to where we were kind of in the middle of the COVID wave. A lot of these customers really increased their stock during COVID, and a lot of them are just starting up the projects. There are projects that we sold in 2021 that still haven't been started yet. So we do anticipate a little bit of year-over-year growth, but in general, nothing compared to where we were during COVID. And I'd like to take this opportunity to just say thank you all for the amazing support that everyone provided in 2023 to achieve this goal, and to ask you for your help in 2024. We're going to need it. It's going to be a challenging year. There's kind of a lot of global uncertainty right now, but we do have a good funnel, and we're going to need your help to close these orders and have another really strong year. So these are similar slides. We are winning. We're winning in lab machines. We had a pretty good lab year. It was actually higher than 2022 from a lab perspective. It's really production machines that really has fallen off since COVID. That was really the big what was really driving results in 2021 and 2022. And then the other area that we see kind of some different results is sweet spot versus all other applications. I think the biggest factor in this is that our record $3 million order that we received in October was not technically in our sweet spot. It was a polysaccharide molecular weight reduction application for a respiratory vaccine. So we've known about polysaccharide molecular weight reduction for a long time. We have application notes about it, but we don't really consider it sweet spot. It's not something that we see a lot of opportunities for, or we win a lot of the time. But we will be revisiting this application this year and making sure that all of our literature is up to date, because we do have a few examples of success in these areas. Also, from a territory perspective, kind of an interesting mix. We saw Asia Pacific kind of holding steady, a little bit year-over-year decline. Europe, Middle East, and Africa was actually increased year over year and had a record year. Again, driven primarily by that one, really large order. And then where we lost most ground was in Americas. And it's interesting. We have a really strong funnel in Americas for production machines. But yeah, a lot of the big projects were kind of being delayed. Nothing is being canceled. We're not losing more to competition. They're still in our funnel, but it seems like customers are just waiting to see what's going to happen and whether or not to spend money. But we're hoping and confident that we're going to turn it around this year and have nice recovery in Americas. And then by model, you can see it's kind of similar story. Had good results for 7250 and 110EH, our 1 and 2 machines, and nothing really surprising across the board. A little bit of a decline in LM20s and 815s and 110Ps, but overall, as a lab business, holding strong. So nothing too surprising there. Also, our lead times are pretty consistent, certainly well within our quoted lead times. We do see some spikes in a couple of areas. LV1s have gone up a little bit, and it's the same thing with production machines. In general, very good lead times versus our quoted lead times. Our on-time delivery tends to be pretty good. And this is considering that part of our goals that we don't really talk about with our channel very often is we did have a very significant inventory reduction effort this year. We decreased our inventory for microfluidics parts by about 30% this year, which was driven in part by our the miss of our orders and sales target. We were trying to save money in other ways, and inventory reduction is one of the levers we had to pull. And the good news is we were able to hold our lead times pretty well. And on top of that, since we are forecasting growth this year, we do have some runway to build inventory in our factory, and we have robust processes to pick the right parts. So Ethan and I both have a lot of buy-in in terms of which parts we stock. We have a stocking program that should allow us to reduce lead times, not just of machines, but also of aftermarket orders. So we're really hoping to be able to win market share by reducing lead time and, increase our customer obsession from that perspective. So, in general, lead times are doing pretty well. We do have some quick training updates. We have a channel partner service and applications training the week of March 11th. There is still some availability, so let us know if you'd like to attend. It's going to be on our lab scale machines and 110EH, and then Young and the applications team will take a day or two to talk about, standard applications, new applications, process development, optimization testing, scale up results, things like that. And then the big announcement is we did get the budget approved for our global channel partner meeting. So really excited about that. Finally are able to host you all here in Westwood. We are shooting for late April or May, and we are going to send out one more survey just to follow up and confirm the dates. We need to book a conference room likely, and so there is a little bit of obstacles that we have to work around there. And the other thing is we're going to ask you what shirt size you want, because I think we're going to get some new flannel shirts to celebrate the launch of our new product. So really excited to host whoever can make it here in Westwood. We'll have an action-packed sales meeting. We haven't had one in 4 years, so it'll be great to get everyone together, catch up, talk about our business and how to grow. So really excited about that. Stay tuned for the survey email to make sure that we can pick dates that work for almost everyone. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all. All right, I'll turn it over to Kathy for a quick marketing update.
Yep. Thank you. So for the marketing update, last year was strong. It was a very strong year for us. We do dip, and we usually do the last month of the year. So you could tell December went down. That's because most people are on vacation or holiday and they're not looking as much. But November was strong. The two categories we really look at is the organic traffic, and that's where we add so much time and attention to adding content. That is when people are searching through the keywords that really drive our business. Making sure that we're writing the right content, we're placing it, we're putting it in all the different and various ways, and that we have it so people can find it. It really does help with our Google ranking, and that's what we really spend a lot of our time on our website and its speed. The other one that we look at is direct, and those numbers are people that come to us by knowing our name. Both of those we've made a lot of progress this past year in getting month by month those numbers up pretty consistently. And we always do say the way to keep it up is to like and share our post. We do a daily LinkedIn post, and if you like it and you share it, and especially if you share it and add your own comment, great article to read, great news coming from Microfluidics, something like that, so it shows your personal touch, really does expand our reach. We know we have 4,300 followers, but also every time someone else shares it, we're open to their followers. Unfortunately, though, our leads were down this past year, and they were down in most every category. We are now tracking our aftermarket because we do put a lot more time and attention into building that up. But our website, those are what we think of as our best leads, because those are people usually who are driven to our website and are more active to purchase or to be called upon. And then also our channels, both of those were down. So when we look at how we can reverse that, what we want to do to get more leads is webinars. That's where our next focus will be. Is there another slide by chance on, nope. Anyway, so there. So we really want more webinars this year, especially in the cosmetic industry. Last year, we spent some time going over the cosmetic page that we had, and we really looked at where we win, and we realized it's perfume and lotions, but we really need that middle content that really shows that we have expertise. That is what really drives our business, is when we focus in on the really critical content of showing how we can help our customers, not just putting in that we are in this industry, but showing our expertise. And webinars is a great way to show it. And we believe we have one cosmetic webinar going to be happening in Q1, but we also need more, and we also need them in local languages, and we also need them at your local level. And we really want them in the cosmetic industry. The next slide might go back. Trade shows, yes. This year, these are the trade shows that we will be attending. We're going to have 2 L&P, which we are at the moment deciding which ones they are going to be that we'll be attending. We'll also be attending the CPHI in India along with PMAC. We're also going to be participating at ACHEMA and Interfex, and those are where we're going to be showcasing our microlyzer. And then we're going to be displaying, being available to answer questions about that. And also we'll be attending the AAPS, which will be in Utah this year. So when we do trade shows, we always say, what is the expectation that we would hope that our channels would help support us in? And that is, we spend a lot of time in doing promotions. When we attend a show, We are obviously going to be available to the people there, but we also want everyone to know that we're going to be attending these shows to show that that we are players in these fields. So we do promotions, and we do ask again, like and share and repost our LinkedIn posts that we have. Also, we may do videos, and if you're going to be participating, we also ask, well, I will say, we also ask for you to invite our prospects. We will go through our database and we will send out emails. And if anybody is of interest that is wanting to reach out and meet us, we will get them in touch with you. But also we do ask that you invite any prospects who may be of interest in that territory that might want to come by our booth and meet us. And if you're at the booth, we do say to make sure that you are engaged, you do the networking events, that you we have an iPad touch presentation, that you familiarize yourself with it, that you download any of the brochures or the videos that may pertain to it, and also that you, if you need training for the particular subject matter, just to reach out, because we do have people who are available who would love to talk you through. But really, it is about building those relationships and also forming that network that is interested in this, because these really are a big investment of both our time and our energy, and we really want to make the most out of these events. And then our next is our microlyzer. We just did our first post today. It's very exciting. We've been working on it for quite some time. We did some teaser campaigns earlier in the month. We had an RSM meeting. The 17th of January, the machine itself arrived at Westwood, which was very exciting. We had been seeing it through all of India's efforts, and this time it came to our area, so we actually got to see it. We've been loading the collateral and binder, and we have an entire campaign set up that now that we have the machine and we are starting the launch, we will be doing a series of email campaigns where we will reach out to anybody who has downloaded any of our call to actions in Cell Disruption. We will email them, and then we also turn around a week later, and anyone who has not opened the email, send another in case you missed this email. We will also have a blog. We will be creating Google ads and also LinkedIn sponsored ads, all in the efforts to raise our Google ranking in the cell disruption category and the production scale cell disruption processing. We will also be doing a big series of different posts, whether it's still graphics, whether it's animation, video, a big array of different things to capture as much attention as possible. We have changed the pages on our website that pertain to cell disruption so that we are adding this new technology, and we will be tracking and following to see how each person who comes to it, what their customer journey is. So again, the best thing you can do as we do these posts is like and share them, and also add some sort of engagement to it. We keep saying it's finally here. You know, this is exciting. Kind of repeat that message. And I will pass it on to Steve.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the new MP350 microlyzer. It is available for sale, specifically the pharmaceutical enhanced version. The list price is $450,000. It is in our online price book, so it is available for quoting. It will be manufactured both in Canada and in India. So the India manufacturing is going to be primarily for the India market. And the Canada manufacturing is primarily for the rest of the world. The reason we chose to manufacture it in 2 locations is that there is a little bit of bias towards North American manufacturing. We've heard feedback about that as we've done our voice of customer. But also just in terms of like where our customers have bought large production machines before, it is there are different import and export laws for India versus Canada. So there are a lot of trade agreements between Canada and North America, South America, and then also Europe and Asia that don't exist with India. So although it is very slightly less expensive to manufacture the equipment in India, once you add the duties and taxes, it can make it a lot more expensive for the customer. So that's why we made that decision. But it's a really good looking machine. We displayed it for the first time at PMEC in India in December, and it was very well received. It's one of it's one of the most beautiful machines at the whole show. So we're really excited about it. We do have some branding guidelines. These are for our internal use only. These are not, to be shared with customers. But when we're talking about this equipment, it's important to all be using the same messaging about how we promote it. So this is what it is. We need, when we say microlicer, we need to include some nouns with it. Microlicer is trademarked. It's registered in North America, so we need to use it as an adjective. So we can say MP350 microlicer. We can say microlicer technology, but we can't just say microlicer or the microlicer or anything like that. The unit that is currently released is the enhanced biopharma version, so it's very similar to our current M700 enhanced microfluidizer series, in that it has all the CGMP features, including electropolish and passivated piping, drainability, material traceability, and 21 CFR Part 11 data acquisition. It also has simple steam, and I'll talk about that a little bit later too. And then this is a production scale machine for cell disruption, and it is biopharma grade with data acquisition and steam clean. So we're only selling this machine with a Z chamber, and we're only selling it for cell disruption. It is, the technology used is the same interaction chamber technology that is used on the microfluidizer products, but it comes with a unique electric pumping system. And we can also say a patented sanitary electric pumping system. And that's kind of how we distinguish it from the microfluidizer processor, which is hydraulics or electric hydraulics. And this is what it is not. It is not a microfluidizer. It is not a microfluidizer microfluidizer processor. We can't say the microlicer. It needs to have that noun along with it. It is not for nanoemulsions, liposomes, dispersions. It is not inherently scalable like we say for our microfluidizer technology. The pressure profile is different. And though we don't expect to get the exact same results on the production scale that we do on the lab scale, we do expect this to work very well for production cell disruption. We have tested it pretty extensively with E. coli cells and have gotten excellent cell rupture rates, but we can't say it's one-to-one scale-up solution like with our microfluidizer technology. It's not linearly scalable. We are planning a lot of correlation testing between the lab scale and the microlicer processor in order to get more comfortable with optimizing the process on the production scale more quickly. But it's not as scalable as the microfluidizer brand. We also don't have a lab scale microlyser. And the other thing is it's not aseptic, which I mentioned earlier. And it's we don't put a wide chamber on it. And then as we quote this, our goal is not to offer this product for the same applications as the microfluidizer technology. We don't want to, sell the microlyser and the microfluidizer scale-up processors for the same application. If it's cell disruption, we want to sell the microlyser processor. If it's something else, we want to sell the microfluidizer processor. There are, some unique cases where we might quote both. For instance, if a customer doesn't need enhanced features for their cell disruption application, like if they're processing algae cells or don't feel like they need the biopharma solution, we might offer the microlyser enhanced and also the microfluidizer standard, because we don't currently have a standard version of the microlyser processors. It's something that we're working on, but it's not available yet. So I will send these branding guidelines to everyone, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We do have a brochure. I will email it out to everyone after the meeting. It has all the features and specifications, and you can feel free to start emailing it to our customers. It is available on our website, and it's pretty comprehensive and it's beautiful. So really excited about this. And we also have a brand new PowerPoint presentation, which we will also be sending out after the meeting. A lot of the content is similar to what we had in our microfluidizer PowerPoint presentation, but it has been given a fresh look with specifically for cells. So you'll recognize this slide as overview of IDEX, but it actually has like the IDEX corporate headquarters, which before it was just a random building. So and then it has IDEX difference, teams, 80/20, and customer obsession. And then this is a very similar company profile to what we had before. It's just laid out a lot more beautifully. So I'm really excited about this. And then, we talk about the difference between microfluidizer and microlyser, and really for this technology, we're focusing on cell disruption. So these are the challenges in, cell disruption, very similar to what we were sharing in our previous slides. If you don't have consistent shear rates, that causes issues. The microlyser, although it has a different pressure profile, since it still has the interaction chamber, you still get very consistent shear rates. If you don't have high processing pressures, you're not going to get high rupture rates, especially for yeast cells. The microlyser processor goes up to 2,000 bar or 30,000 psi. We can often rupture 90 to 95% of cells in 1 or 2 passes, which is a lot lower than some of our competitors. Our competitors have some heat regulation challenges. Our competitors have frequent part failures, specifically around the high pressure steel. I should note that the main competitor that we've designed this machine to compete against is the Nairo Suavi line of high pressure homogenizers sold by APV out of Italy. They have a large portion of the market share specifically in India, which is why we chose to market this equipment in India. And this is a lot of the feedback we've got during our VOC about the Nairo brand of equipment. And when you use our technology, we expect it to be more robust, so lower cost of ownership. We do know that the viscosity of the effluent for cell disruption applications processed with our technology has a lower viscosity, so it's able to be centrifuged more efficiently and filtered more easily. This machine is, clean in place and steam in place, so it should be very easy to clean. With the steam, you have very minimal risk of cross-batch contamination or bioburden issues. And then this equipment is very the tests are very reproducible, so we don't expect any duplication issues between runs. So these are kind of the main selling points versus our competitors, specifically homogenizers. Yeah, these are very similar slide to before. How do you, what's the most important thing when selecting a processing method? You want to recover the most, protein, and you want to make sure that the protein is not denatured. So, there are many different ways to analyze this. And then you also need to do downstream processing to ensure that you're able to purify your proteins effectively. All right. Yeah, again, for when selecting a cell disruption method, Microlycer has virtually all of the features of the microfluidizer. It's just optimized for cell disruption, right? It's got an electric motor, which is sufficient for cell disruption applications. We don't want to say it's cheaper or less effective than microfluidizer. We just want to say it's optimized for cell disruption applications, because the reason that customers need the very constant pressure profile for nanoemulsions is that's what you need in order to get the very uniform particle size distributions. Cell disruption doesn't tend to be that picky. With more variable shear forces, you tend to get more similar results. So although it is a less constant pressure profile, we do think it is a perfectly fine and as good solution for cell disruption. It's still better than homogenizer, sonicator, or bead mill for sure. All right, so yeah, this is the machine. It's it has an IPC that's on an arm, so that it's ergonomic. It can be at different heights and moved around. So yeah, it pairs the interaction chamber with the sanitary pumping system, 30,000 psi. The flow rate is around 5 liters per minute, so a little bit higher than the 7250 microfluidizer. It only comes in one version, so kind of more like the M815, where we only have a 30,000 psi option, and different than the M700 series, where there's a 20,000 psi and 10,000 psi options. It only comes in 30,000 psi, but we can optimize the flow rate at lower pressures if needed, in order, by putting on different types of interaction chambers to get the same 5 liters per minute at lower pressures. So yeah, this is features and benefits. It's a really cool presentation. All these are hyperlinked, so that you can, when presenting it to customers, you can present it based on what the customer wants to know, rather than walking through the presentation like I'm doing now. So it's a really, really great presentation, but I will walk you through it. These are the technical specs. I'll send these to you afterwards. You don't have to go through them right now. But yeah, it is tall, 160 centimeters, so taller than our current machines. It is quite narrow, so it should fit through almost all doors. And it is a little bit shorter than microfluidizers, so it is a little bit more of a compact design. It does have casters and feet, so it's easier to remove. It is quite heavy. It's yeah, almost 2,000 kilograms. So yeah, it is a heavy machine, but you know, the footprint is I think really attractive. Another thing, I know this says cooling water for hydraulic heat exchanger. We are going to update that because it's not, there is no hydraulic heat exchanger. This is just to lubricate the bearings of the mechanical pump. So the cooling utility is actually a lot lower for this equipment than it is for the microfluidizer. There's no hydraulic cooling because there's no hydraulics. So it is more efficient from that perspective. It also comes standard with steam. I think I have more information about that later, but it is different than an aseptic machine. This is more like a simple steam machine where we don't actually trace every component temperature, and there's no aseptic hold afterwards. It is designed to reduce bioburden and minimize batch-to-batch crossover of the cells, which is what is required for cell disruption. We do have a really nice animation that is a little bit nicer than what we had previously. So yeah, material comes in, there's a feed pump. Here you got the electric pumping system. This is the schematic of the interaction chamber. We have the Z-type interaction chamber here. Excuse me. And then it has a sanitary heat exchanger, very similar heat exchanger to the one we have on the microfluidizer processor. And then the material comes out and it's nice. All your cells are lysed, and you know, you can recover your protein from there. And then this is a very similar slide to our homogenizer comparison slide from the other presentation. Yeah, fixed geometry chamber ensures constant shear processing, and we're able to process at the lowest possible pressures, minimizing the impact of protein denaturing. And there's also, you know, the interaction chamber wears out a lot slower than the homogenizing valve, so also reduces wear and tear and maintenance upkeep. Excuse me. And then we do have, you know, a lot of the same cell disruption slides we did as we had before. You know, same shear rate slide. Shear rate is calculated in the same way. Since we only offer with H10Z chamber, we, you know, our shear rate as a function of pressure slide is a lot simpler. But we are still have a wide range of shear rates achievable. And then, yeah, the bacterial slides are very similar. Yeast slides are very similar, and algae slides are very similar. And also, you know, mammalian slide table, again, very similar. So I'm not going to go through these in too much detail. I'll send these to you afterwards and you can go through them. But it's very similar content to what we had in our previous presentation. All right. And then trim levels. So as I said, this is the enhanced version. So it has, you know, all the same features of our other enhanced product line, except a lot of these features that were kind of specific for nanoemulsion. So there's no, back pressure assembly. There's no mass flow meter, no conductivity sensors included. It does have a motor starter panel. Automation is an option, and then kind of the same FAT, SAT, IQ, OQ documentation, etc. We will be coming up with a standard version next. So that's kind of the next phase of the MicroLyster launch is a standard version. And then we also intend to have a basic biopharma version as well. Hopefully these will all be, ready to go this year, but we wanted to launch this enhanced version first. The reason we decided to go with enhanced first is because that is very much what the VOC indicated for the biotechnology industry. And granted, most of our VOC was done in India, but we do think that India tends to be the thought leaders and the more conservative users for CGMP. So, 10 years ago, a lot of our customers were in North America and Europe were buying the basic biopharma equipment, and in India it was only the enhanced biopharma because they knew that data acquisition was going to be a very important focus for the regulating bodies. And sure enough, nowadays we sell almost all enhanced versions, and everybody wants the 21 CFR Part 11 data acquisition. We're anticipating the same trend with cell disruption. 10 years ago, and even during COVID, so 3 years ago, a lot of the customers who were doing cell disruption for the diagnostic testing kits were buying standard machines. Now even some of those have switched to the basic biopharma version. So we are seeing the industry move toward, better control of data and, more enhanced features. And then STEAM is tends to be necessary for cell disruption applications. And we think that also might be driven by our competition. So NIROSWAVI has a STEAM clean feature that they market very heavily and have gotten that STEAM into some of the URSs for this production equipment. So we do think it is necessary, even though it's not typically used for nanoemulsions, we do think it will be necessary in order to sell these cell disruption applications. All right, so how can you help? The first thing is, identify potential customers. Anyone who has bought a lab scale or production scale processor for cell disruption are people of interest. And then we're going to ask you to share this list with your regional sales manager. And then, for each of these customers, let's come up with a plan on how to discuss the MicroLyster processor with each potential customer on your list. And although we definitely want new sales opportunities, we also want to have discussions with other people, current production customers that are processing cell disruption on the microfluidizer technology, where we've lost to competitors, distant future customers, etc. Our VOC was focused in India, and feel really good about how it turned out, but we want to make sure that our VOC applies to the rest of the world as well. We want to make sure we're providing the right solutions to our customers. So any customer, any prospects that you have that you think would benefit from a conversation with us about this, please let us know, and we will work with you to make sure that that this is a very successful launch. Yeah, I think that's my last slide. Happy to open it up. If there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or enter it into the chat.